Hey guys, how you doing today? This is Gizmo. I'm just going over messing with my user interface and NPC dialogue system here. It's been a few hours this morning. I woke up early and just had to hit the code block, get something up at least to represent what I feel is a good UI design. So here, chilling, got myself a beer, relaxing, got some good music playing. Yeah, so I just kind of like want to go over like the progress I'm making. Again, being familiar with a lot of the way how this works. And for my buddy Apache, yes sir, you can code yourself out of the bag, right? So, with that joke stated, I'm sure he'll probably snicker at that. I'm kind of excited. I really enjoy, the way things work. I got a little prototype here area. Gonna be my player hub, and this is where players are going to interact with various NPCs, and I'm hoping to shunt and shovel those players out into various PvP games. Kind of want to like work towards the where players can just like come up and like hop into arena and just even duel some monsters and get out, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter what spells, what abilities, whatever they're using. I don't even care. The only thing I care about is that the system gets them in and gets them out, allows them to queue up to get in and out in case there is more players than arenas and capacity that you have. Again, good luck hitting that point. That requires massive players, but if you do that, you're doing something right. Okay, well, with the basic stuff like that stated, I'm gonna go ahead and move on, press through, try to get through some of this early stage of development on this, to get some at least functions going of this little PvP based game system. And so right now we're getting the user interface up, right? We got to be able to represent the players, how everything looks, how it feels. You want to be able to theme it, things like that. I did more than just like a little simple UI, and I'll walk through this. So let's go ahead and go over to the code side of things here. Again, I'm still working on setting up my project structure that I called Omen. Omen's been a game, a world that I've made in some stuff for like Run UO, Neverwinter Nights 2. So yeah, and I have some AI prompting here to help me, basically give the information to ChatGPT to help me generate colored themed tables. Still a work in progress, but this is like a pre-prompted with like meta prompting and stuff like that if you're familiar with that. But I'm going to close that out. So let's see here. This is my my own patch notes, and this is the one that I have just for my mod. So again, it's resting right on top of the core. I'm not touching that because, well, don't really need to for this type of system. I just need to be able to move objects in and out, as well as have a good layer of like UI communication to the player, right? Because again, this is we need a UI, and well, okay. So right now I go ahead and took the stone script edits here, and the first one I've made is the interaction. In the interaction, I'm going to go ahead and pop to this. I won't pull up the original. And basically what we're doing in essence here is that, if we're doing an override and we check the target, and if they have the has dialog object variable, it's a Boolean variable, we'll check here. And basically it will send a message to this object here, the NPC that fired it, so we can go ahead and load up that dialogue. So if we go to the NPC dialogue file that I created, before we go there, I'm going to go to Thorium. Here's the XML file, and right there is the Boolean variable for the object variable component. And this is pretty much all you really need, for this template, and I haven't added much more to it. And I do have the NPC dialogue attached to this, which is this file right here. And this is like the bulk of the dialogue, right? As you can see, there's really just not a lot of coding here, right? This is just the basic. And this is what's producing the following dialogue. And I think right now I am using the default, which was generated by me. I created this table. And these two right here were created by ChatGPT-4. And I prompted it with that dialogue thing and asked it to create these tables based off themes. And this epic theme, I told it to make it epic gold match, you know, like a theme of a glory hero. It came out pretty okay. And let's get down to the functions here, right? So what happens is that when we send that message from our interactions here, that try use, and we send that message start dialogue, down here we have our register event handler, and right here's the start dialogue, and we're going to handle the message start dialogue. It's going to call this function, it's going to pass the player object right through, and we're going to go ahead and immediately fire our dialogue with the player object being the person we want to display it to. So if we go up to our UI functions here, display the dialogue, right here is all the generation for the basic dialogue, right? As you can see, we have some variables here. I won't go over it, but we have the create background, you create a portrait, create the dialogue section, and then we can create some buttons freely. And when we're creating all this, you can see where it says the window size and height and width. So it's going to go ahead, and I believe it's going to every one of these buttons is going to take a dialogue style key. So just for an introduction, I know I'm going through this quick here. We're just presetting it right now. I think what I'm going to do is that, let's say you wanted a player to be able to have various themes of colors and styles of UI that are across your entire game, right? Your skill windows, spell books, other windows. You want it all to match, you all want it to look the same. And so by using these type of keys in each one of the dialogues, I could just simply say, okay, I'm going to make an epic theme one for all my windows and windows types and dialogues and dynamic windows. And so to ease all of this, I went ahead and I added all this into what's going on, you know, through here. If you're a coder, you can look through it. I'll try to explain most of it here. So what does this make? So I'm going to go ahead and go to the game here. And what I want to do is I'm just going to walk up, and I've made it to where I can talk to this guy. And right here, this is a crazy UI I asked it to make. And ChatGPT farted, right? So this is like a really bad example. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go right back up to my table here. And I'm just going to go ahead and let's pick the one I made. Here's my original one. I kind of like it. It's default. So we're going to go down, and I'm just going to plug this value in right here. All right. And let's go ahead and save this. Go back to game. And when I load up his UI, I added a refresh function here. All right. And you just click it, and it's going to go ahead and restyle it. So when you want to design and change the look of this window, what I did here is I went ahead and added some buttons here, cleaned it up, added some borders. These are all colors that you can change. This background image behind this guy right here is actually like an icon image stretched out and hued. And you can change that as well for like different background things and themes. Now, basically to extend on this, like I was stating, if the player had a list of themes that they could pick from, then what if they could find a theme in game from a drop somewhere and then learn that theme and then brag that they got this stylized theme, right? What if you wanted to reiterate quest NPCs might have like a goldish look, yellow like this. Maybe you're talking to important quest NPCs, and so let's say this is like a regular NPC that you just talk to. This is just the UI. There's no functions here. Just explaining what you can do with this. You can put all the information in here. This is just like the UI. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to the, I think it was called Epic theme. And so when we switch this over, you can make code that changes. But if I had a variable on my player called UI theme, and then just had a string called Epic theme, and that's the one that all these load up, then, well, if I walked up to an NPC and it had a preferred theme variable, then it would load up your theme to represent whatever that NPC style or whatever is. So again, this is a lot. I'm just trying to go over like how this works and how to use it. I'm not sure if I want to share this or if this is worth sharing, but let's go ahead and refresh this and see what happens here. So as you can see, there's that golden theme that I asked for, and you can see you got your little button tool tips there. This one says refresh user interface, and you can see how I got it changed and things like that. Button 2 doesn't do anything, and neither does button 3, right? These are just example placements to get the look and feel. Now, this isn't the only thing that this can do. So let's say that you wanted to have a less wide UI with this. That's okay. It's very easy to set. Let's go right up here to the Epic theme, and I just want this to be, let's say, 800. Okay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and change the window width of it, and we'll go right back to the game. And I'm going to go ahead and refresh, and you'll see that it scales to your window size. So you could go ahead and say, well, what if you wanted like this row of buttons to be actual character skills and things like that? You could actually use this as a building base for the character window. And how that could be done is very, very simple with this setup. Is, again, this just does the design work. You still have to fill in all the coding. So now I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I want to make like this to be 900. Alright, and let's go ahead and hit save. And then if we just refresh, alright, there we go. And you can see that this scales, and if we really wanted to just take up the whole screen, just for funsies, because why not? Let's just do 1800 for the width. Let's go ahead and save this, go right back to game, let's do our refresh, and there you go. So this whole thing actually has different styles. Do you want to see this in the other style? We can drop it right back. I just have to go ahead and we'll just copy these placements here, because I don't care. I can always go back and change them later. So I'm going to go ahead and just change this here. Now it's that same size. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and save all. Forgot to change the default down here. Getting better tools when you can just like go in and change this on the fly, but let's go ahead and change this to default. We will save it. Alright, and let's go ahead and check it one more time here. Alright, so now there's our red theme, and the window's just as big, and also there's some event handling in, so when you get too far away from this NPC, it should just close the window out, right? Because you don't want it, sitting there forever. So that is pretty much like the core design. Some of the padding and scaling is done inside these functions right here. Everything can be moved around with the X, Y, Z locations. Like this create dialogue, you can see everything's got an X and Y location, so you can actually move any one of these element blocks around and just create whatever you want. I'm trying to create as open-ended as possible here. Yeah, this is like trying to dig into like some real good UI work here. This right here to set the system up was about 4 or 5 hours. I still want to do a lot more work with it. Yeah, and so in case you're still like learning in these systems and things like that, and you want to know where do I get these images, image names, like you see most of these are like blank, but if I do the add image, we'll see we'll have a blank, you'll see a rounded button, yeah, just a few. And these are defined in the texture reference. And if you don't know what the texture reference is, I'll do a quick show you here. You can find this right here in your core and texture reference. And these names right here are all of the textures that you can put in. I chose one of the spellbook. These are like all icons right here, the spellbook ones, and yeah, you're gonna have to dig through everything manually. I'm gonna make my own little, yeah, probably some form of like UI guide of something of whatever to navigate through all these things, so I can bring some of these elements into the UI as I start making abilities and or skills and things like that. But that's future development. Right now I'm just focused on this NPC interaction dialogue system. It's a good start. I got a lot more work to do. I just wanted to share some of this, have a beer. I hope other people out there are just diving right into this and really putting it through a good test. I like it. I'm having fun. So again, this video is getting pretty long. I'm gonna go back and yeah, let's just see what the grayscale one looks like that ChatGPT made. I'm gonna do that one last one here real quick. And if we go right back up here, grayscale, and then we're just gonna go ahead and reload, and there we go. That's the grayscale it came up with. Pretty neat. So again, with a little help with the prompting file, I just loaded up the ChatGPT, asked it a few questions. It spits out tables. It's a lot better than manually doing it. It's quicker. Some of it's bad, and as you can see, some of it's not bad. I did about 12 of them, and I've already picked out that golden looking one and this grayscale looking one. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for watching. I'm kind of excited. I hope you guys are excited. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Have a good one.